Good evening, friends, and welcome to our Tuesday evening spiritual mind healing service, where we have an opportunity to exchange ideas on our teachings and to have questions asked and answered. And so I'd like to welcome you all very specially this evening, those of you here in the Zoom room and those of you who are joining us on YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And as we do here at our center with all things, let us begin with our opening affirmative prayer. So as we gently close our eyes and go within to that place of peace, perfect peace, we recognize God, God at the center, God at the circumference. It is all and only God. And we are one with it. And in this knowing, I speak this word for this, which we call a spiritual mind healing service. I know for each one of us, as we tune in to this evening's presentation, that wherever we are, we allow ourselves to be an open channel. We allow the exchange of ideas. We allow lively interactions. And we take from these evening's activities all that is necessary for our unfolding and expansion. And so I know that as this activity unfolds this evening, every person brings to this evening's activity their own ideas, their own openness to exchange. They show up as individuals, as the incarnations of that which created each one of us out of itself and called it good. They show up as the expression of God. And so in this knowing, I will simply release this word to that infinite law of mind. As I let go and let God be God in through and as every activity in this evening service, I give thanks. I truly give thanks as I release this word to law, knowing that all this is already so, and so it is. And as we simply take a moment now to just relax and go into the silence, putting down the cares of today, we tune into our breathing. We focus our attention on the breath. We know that with every breath that we take, it is the breath of God, breathing each one of us individually and all of us collectively. So we allow this breath to circulate through our bodies. Any place where there is tension, we simply let this breath move into that place as we relax and let go. We let this breath move down through our necks and our shoulders. And as that breath fills our lungs, we breathe in deeply. We expand our lungs as we take in that full, free, deep breathing. We allow it to relax our arms, our fingers. We just let this breath be, knowing that it is the breath of God. It is touching us into wholeness. We know that there is not a spot where God is in it. And so as we continue to breathe, we just let that presence in our beings. That breath moves down into our calves, moves through our legs, down into our feet, right where we're sitting, wherever we are for this evening's activity. We are grounded by this breath. We simply let this breath be, knowing that it makes its way back up from the soles of our feet, up through our calves, and again, it's moving through our legs. Right where we're seated, we let this breath move through our pelvis and back up into our diaphragm as we move this breath into our lungs. Once more, breathing deeply. Inhale and exhale the very breath of God. As we bring this breath back up through our shoulders and into our throats, and out through our nostrils. We breathe effortlessly and with ease. And we release anything unlike this breath. This breath which calms and brings us into a place of peace. And once more, we just breathe in deeply and let this breath go. And with this exhale, we bring our awareness back into this room. We bring our attention back into this evening's gathering. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes and breathe. This is the breath of God. Welcome back, everyone, to this space this evening. As we begin with our evening's presentation, I want to welcome those of you who have joined us since I started, and I welcomed you at the start. Thank you for being with us this evening as we share in this exchange. Now, you may have noticed that this month, all our Tuesday evening talks have one common theme, that of love. And that's because our CSL monthly theme for August, which is On the Wings of Love, is what we have been focusing on during our Sunday morning presentations. And so in wrapping up this last Tuesday of the month, I thought I would also share with you from that perspective this evening. And so I have titled my talk, What's Love Got to Do with It? The title of that very famous song by Tina Turner. She says it's a second-hand emotion. Now, is it? Well, let us just look more closely at this matter of love. And I'll start out with a definition in the Dictionary of New Thought Terms by our founder of the Science of Mind teaching, Dr. Ernest Holmes. And in it, love is defined as the outpouring of the Spirit, the givingness of life to all. In its lesser sense, it is the affection one has for another. And yes, this may be considered a second-hand emotion. But when we examine this matter of love, one of the most epic passages that is often quoted from the Judeo-Christian Bible is 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And you are all familiar with that passage of scripture where it is often quoted, that love is that healing presence. And from that particular chapter in chapter 13, the verse that calls out to me is verse 4. And it says that love suffereth long and is kind. Love envieth not. Love vaunteth not itself. It is not puffed up. And in it, I think it truly demonstrates what it means when we are being loved. It reads, and in the New International Version, it reads, love is patient and kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. And so when we are being loved, it does take a lot of patience. And we get lots of opportunity to practice, whether it is with our children, or friends, or loved ones, or co-workers, or just from driving on the roads daily, with a variety of motorists that we have to encounter. But of course, we must be kind to each other, not only those persons who are kind to us. And we should have no need for envy, for we know that the universe is accessible to all. We just have to be willing and open to accept the good it has to offer. And when it goes on to state in that verse that it is not proud, it is reminding us of our own selves that we do nothing. It is the Father within that doeth the work. So we don't need to let the ego get in our way. That is edging God out. So we can get our bloated nothingness out of the way, as Emerson said, filled with our own importance. But in our Science of Mind teachings, this reminds us that the principle of love is not to be confused with mere sentimentality. And although all forms of love are aspects of this principle, friends, this love to which I am referring is the great transforming power which brings everything into harmony. This love is the unifying principle, the creative element, and the motivating power of all that is good and noble in life. So let us pay attention to this statement because it describes love as the unifying principle. That principle is the universal mind in which we all live, move, and have our being. And that mind is creative, and we each individualize this mind in creating our experiences. It is that which calls us to be more and to do more. So are we experiencing more love in our lives, or having loving relationships? Or are we being more loving in our interactions with each other? Emerson also said, if you want a friend, be a friend. And Dr. Holmes tells us that the one who has learned to love all people will find plenty of people who will return this love. And this calls for us to sometimes be the first to initiate conversations with a stranger. How often do we do this? I don't know if you do that routinely, but I know for myself, I do that very often. It's very easy for me to strike up a conversation with someone that I don't hardly know. I'm meeting them for the first time. Often when I'm traveling, that's just second nature. And for me, it allows you to meet new people. It opens you up to new cultures. So, sometimes initiating a conversation and being the first means that no longer, this person is no longer a stranger. And even here in our spiritual community, try and seek out someone with whom you haven't had a conversation, or look out especially for anyone who is a first-time guest. Make it a point to have an interaction with them, initiate a conversation. And so, in doing so, we will be expressing love and being love. And so, I'd like to share an affirmation with you. And it reads, God in me is unified with God in all. This one is now drawing into my life all love, all friendship, and all fellowship. And I'll repeat, God in me is unified with God in all. You can join me and say it after me. God in me is unified with God in all. This one is now drawing into my life all love, all friendship, and all fellowship. Now, one of the things we should each do, if we don't do so already, is to check in with ourselves daily before we retire to bed to see how that day has unfolded, the kinds of interactions we had with the persons we had encountered, and then journal what comes up for you. Friends, love is the greatest healing power on earth, and it is our reason for being. And truly, if we wish to love others, we must first learn to love ourselves. The master teacher Jesus in Matthew chapter 22 and verse 36, when asked by the lawyer, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Friends, our Science of Mind textbook also reminds us that love is a complete unity with life. And we cannot enter this state unless we are in complete unity with all that lives. For all life is one. We shall love man as an expression of God, and God as the life principle in all. This does not mean, however, that we are to make ourselves a doormat in proving that God is love. But instead, we should be guided by divine wisdom and be wise in the ways of the world. And that means at times we must say how easy it is for us to do that and to do so in a loving way. And friends, I would like to ask you at this point, because usually it's an interactive session, how is it that you find yourself? How do you act when you are interacting with strangers? How is it that love shows up as you? What are some of the ways that you find that you can be more loving or you can extend love? And anyone is free to share or to put it in the chat if you like, so that we can have some interaction. Or if there's anything on Zoom, you can share as well.
I try to be as optimistic about whatever matter we're talking about at the time, whether it is something deep or whether it is superficial. It could be as superficial as the weather. It could be as deep as the elections coming up or climate change. But I try to be optimistic. That for me is one aspect of being loving. You're loving life, I say,
Yes,
when you're optimistic. And if you love life, you're the
indeed. Anyone else wants to share how they show up when they are being loving or expressing love? whether it's in your day-to-day or, with your loved ones, just how you are when you are being loved. Or you may put something in the chat if you like. Okay, I'm not seeing anything from anyone else, but I will continue with this presentation. So friends, when we are being loving or loving each other, let us endeavor to practice the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And here are a few tips that we can use to be more loving and caring in our interactions every day. And one of the first ones is sincerely ask people how they are doing and really listen to their reply so you know how to respond. Sometimes we ask, but we're really not asking because we really want to hear or we want to know. But we think that it is the thing to do. But in being more loving this week and the rest, as you go along, sincerely ask how you are doing and listen to hear the reply so you know how to respond. And secondly, be observant of the needs of others. Persons are sometimes too shy to ask for help. And if you are observant, whether it's in your home or in your workplace, wherever you are, just be observant of the needs that others may be expressing and offer to help if you can. And another thing that you can do to be love and share more love is to create a schedule to check on people who matter to you. It means to make time intentionally for others. And that's something that we often don't do because, we figure, they'll always be there. But I encourage you to make it an intention, set aside the time to check in on people who matter to you. Because too often we don't take the time, and then when they're no longer around, we say, well, if I did, and if I had paid more attention. So make that something that you can practice to create a schedule to check in on people who matter to you. It don't mean you don't check on people who don't matter, but just make more of an intentional effort to check in with loved ones. And then next, you can try to help even in small ways. It don't have to always be by giving money. It can be as simple as offering someone a ride, whether it is to their home, maybe after Sunday morning service, maybe it's to the store, or maybe it's a lift to a point that they can get transportation. Just any small way. Try to help someone else. And then you can also send encouraging notes, whether by hand or social media. You're often on some form of social media anyway daily. But sending someone words of encouragement can mean a lot, especially for someone who is going through a difficult time. And I know people do that. They share, uplifting or inspiring little WhatsApp notes to each other. But make it an intention to do that, to reach out and encourage someone else. And next, you can give without expecting anything in return. Because whenever you decide to give to others, make sure you do it with a clear intention. You know that you are doing this from a loving place, but not because you're expecting something in return. That's what we need to do when we're being love and we're doing love. And then we can pray for others. That's something else that you can do in being loving. You can ask your family, your friends, or colleagues about their prayer requests. And you can handle them in your own personal prayer time. Yes, you certainly can do that. And that's another way of being loving, by just holding them in prayer. And so, friends, those are a few tips that we can do. Some of them you already know. Something may jump out for you that may encourage you to take up one of these tips. And so, in closing, what's love? So, what's love got to do with it? And it says, since our only command is to love God, love each other, and love ourselves, then, as practitioner Carol Campbell had said in her talk, I am loving, lovable, and love. And so let us begin with loving ourselves more. And I'd like to close out this evening in a closing meditation by Louise Hay that is called Loving Treatment. So I'd ask you to simply close your eyes at this moment and listen. Deep at the center of my being, there is an infinite well of love. I now allow this love to flow to the surface. It fills my heart, my body, my mind, my consciousness, my very being, and radiates out from me in all directions and returns to me multiplied. The more love I use and give, the more I have to give. The supply is endless. My use of love makes me feel good. It is an expression of my inner joy. I love myself. Therefore, I take loving care of my body. I lovingly feed it nourishing food and beverages. I lovingly groom it and dress it, and my body lovingly responds to me with vibrant health and energy. I love myself. Therefore, I provide for myself a comfortable home, one that fills all my needs and is a pleasure to be in. I fill the room with the vibrations of love so that all who enter, myself included, feel this love and is nourished by it. I love myself. Therefore, I work at a job that I truly enjoy doing, one that uses my creative talents and abilities, working with and for people that I love and that love me, and earning a good income. I love myself. Therefore, I behave and think in a loving way to all people, for I know that which I give out returns to me multiplied. I only attract loving people in my world, for they are a mirror of who I am. I love myself. Therefore, I live totally in the now, experiencing each moment as good and knowing that my future is bright and joyous and secure. For I am a beloved child of the universe, and the universe lovingly takes care of me now and forevermore. And so it is. Namaste. Friends, welcome back this evening. And I can open it up for your sharing. Leighton has put in the chat, give to what the Master said, give of yourself, love your neighbor as yourself. And so it is. Anyone is free to share any thoughts that they may have around this evening's topic while we allow persons to put in the chat their requests for spiritual mind healing treatments. Vance has put in there, I avoid defining persons by their actions or by how they show up. Yes, that's a good practice. And anyone on YouTube, I'd like to invite those of you who are sharing with us on our YouTube channel to also share your thoughts on what's love got to do with it, and how you are showing up where you are in your world as love and being love. And in the meantime, you can also input your requests for prayers, because we will go into that right after we finish our sharing. Anyone else has anything on YouTube or in the chat? I know for myself that Loving Treatment by Louise Hay is one that I use, especially when I want to remind myself that I am loved and that I'm being loved, and how I can love myself more. And what are some of the loving actions that I can take? So I'd invite you now to please put your prayer request in the chat so that we can move into that next aspect of this evening's sharing.
May I say something,
Sure.
please, Practitioner Jennifer? So
Right.
I'm grateful for your love and hospitality. If it wasn't for you, I would be right here right now on
Oh,
this
sure.
Zoom.
Oh,
And when she talk about you, I'm sure you all of you guys know that, but I visited CSL um
like the
last
temple.
month, and
Mhm.
she was just the hospitality, the love, like love, 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 love is what I received from you. And
Thank
I
you,
thank you
Shauna.
so much.
Oh, thank you
And
so much.
I am like that in my own center in Georgia. When I see
Yes.
a visitor come and like I have to talk, especially if nobody goes over there, I want them to feel welcome. So
Yes.
I love that energy, and you've shown me how to do that even more.
Oh,
I
thank you,
appreciate
Sean.
that.
Okay, thank you for being there. And I promise you, I'll repay the visit to your center. Anytime I'm in Georgia, again, yes, I'm going to come
Thank
and
you.
visit you. But thank you for being here and for being a part of our spiritual mind healing service. We appreciate
Yes.
you, practitioner.
Mm.
Thank
And I
you.
feel the love being here.
Ah,
I will be here so long as I don't have a class because
yes. Okay.
I love getting nurtured like this during the
Ah,
week because Sunday's not enough. And then I want to throw my prayer request in there tonight. Today I was at work and my throat just starts feeling scratchy. So
ah,
if you could just pray for me, I'm actually in bed with some little chills right now.
Gotta do a
So
treatment
yeah,
of health for you,
thank you.
definitely. And Reverend Michael has
Appreciate it.
put one for peace in Jamaica and the world. I want to close out with that one in particular. So while we're getting our treatment request in the chat, I'm going to start out with this affirmative prayer of health for Shauna Kay. Does anyone else require?
Yeah, there's a request from Yvonne Chang Oliver
Mhm.
for health as well for Shulian. And
Okay.
I would like to add Giselle to that as well, all for
Yes.
health.
So all for health. I'm going to make a note of the names. That's Shauna Kay, petitioner Shauna Kay, Giselle, and what was that name from Yvonne?
Shulian, Shulian.
Okay, Julian. Yeah. And Giselle. Okay, so let us take that journey within as we tune into this moment, recognizing the one presence and power, God, that which brought us into being and created each one of us out of itself and called it good. I know that we are one with this power and presence, and that presence is now operating in, through, and as each person for which I now move in a affirmative prayer of health for Shauna Kay, for Julianne, and for Giselle. I know that God power and presence is now operating through every cell, tissue, and fiber of their beings. It is showing up as that perfect health. It is flowing from the top of their heads down to the soles of their feet. I know that health now shows up as vibrant energy and vitality. It is touching and healing and restoring every cell and tissue and fiber of their being. So I know for each person that experience of health is now unfolding right where they are, because I know that the presence and power of God is even now touching into wholeness. Right where Shauna Kay is, where Julianne and Giselle. There is not a spot where God is not. And so we simply allow God to be God in, through, and as their body temples this evening, in through every experience in which they find themselves. And I know for each one of us, myself included, and all within the sound of my voice, that perfect blueprint of health has never been disturbed. And I know that these three beloved souls and anyone else who is open to this affirmative prayer, health, is now being restored to that perfection. I know that health now shows up as vital energy, and that it allows them to move with grace and ease. And I know that health is now their experience. I believe this, I accept this, and I know this to be the truth. The truth of Shauna Kay, the truth of Julianne, the truth of Giselle. God is, and God is health. And that is their experience now. I release this word to that infinite law of mind that has already said yes. Thank you, God, that this is so now, and so it is. You know, we have a treatment for right action and divine order for Leighton and his daughter and the young people that he's mentoring after their CXC results to the right direction in sowing the seeds for their successful, joyful life. Thank you for that, Leighton. Please join me in this affirmative prayer of right action. I know that God is all there is, and we are one with God. And in this knowing, I speak this word for Leighton and his daughter, and for all those young persons for whom he mentors. I know for them that the right activity, the right direction is now unfolding in their experience. So I know as they go through the CSEC experience, and they are now faced with the decision of where their next rightful place is in this world of experience. I know that if they are seeking to go on to higher levels of learning, that they're being guided and directed by that infinite intelligence that knows what to do and how to do it. And so I know that each of those individuals, and Leighton and his daughter, that truly, as they help themselves up to be an open channel through which that infinite intelligence now works, I know that they are guided every step of the way. They know what to do, when to do, and how to do it. And I know that their pathway is made clear, secure, successful, and easy, because there is only one activity, and that is the activity of God. And feeling the fullness of this faith, I simply release this word to that infinite law of mind, knowing that every idea is already fulfilled, and every decision that is taken is the perfect and right decision for each of these individuals. I give thanks for this as I release this word to know, and I know that this is already so, and so it is. And so as Carol has just put in a treatment for right action regarding a financial matter for herself and Brian, I will treat specifically for a treatment of right action for Carol and Brian in a financial matter. Know with me that there is only one presence, one power, one infinite intelligence that governs, guards, and guides. That presence is God, and we are one with it. And in this knowing, I speak this word for Carol and Brian, knowing that that which concerneth them in this financial matter is right now unfolding in right and perfect order. So I know that they know what to do, and they know how to do it. I know that the right persons that is needed for this experience is even now revealing itself to Carol and Brian. And I know that this financial matter is unfolding in right and perfect order. I know that that infinite intelligence is directing them in every aspect of their affairs. And so I know they cannot put their feet wrong upon this pathway because they are being guided unerringly. And they just simply allow themselves to let go and let God be God in through and as this experience in this financial transaction. God is all there is. There is nothing but God. And so I accept this as true for Carol and Brian, that the right outworking is now taking place in this matter, in the matter of their financial affairs. I give thanks. I truly give thanks, and I rejoice as I release this word to its perfect fulfillment right here and right now. Thank you, God, that this is so, and so it is. And if there aren't any other treatments on YouTube or in the chat, then I'd like to move into that treatment of peace that was requested by Reverend Michael for Jamaica and the world. Yes, it is already done. You're welcome, Carol, and you're welcome, Leighton. Know with me now that God is peace. That peace surrounds us. And in that peace, we safely dwell. It's above, beneath, within us. God is peace, and all is well. And in this knowing, I speak this word as an affirmative prayer of peace for our island Jamaica as we approach this election season, and indeed for the entire world. And so I know that peace, which is God, is now operating in, through, and as each one of us this evening. I know that that peace allows us to experience each other in a state of harmony and joy. I know that every interaction is loving and harmonious. And I know that we allow this peace to flow out from each one of us into our world of experience. And so the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, is even now allowing us to be fully present in our world of experience. I know that that peace surrounds each one of us. And so as we go through each day, this peace flows out from us to our neighbors, to our loved ones. It flows into our schools. It flows into our government, our leader of the opposition. Every person within the island of Jamaica experiences the peace of God as we exist in unity and in harmony. We just let peace be our way right here and right now. And we allow ourselves to be peaceful and harmonious. And so I know I speak this word for peace because there are countries in this world that are experiencing other than peace. And so we remember these countries as we decree peace for our own island home and for ourselves. We declare peace for any country that is experiencing any disharmony, dis-ease. All of our fellow citizens of this world, we know that peace begins with each one of us individually and all of us collectively. So we simply let peace be the way of our heart and the heart of our will. And we approach the remainder of this week peacefully and harmoniously, knowing that God is peace. And right where we are, God is, and all is well. I give thanks, I truly give thanks as I release this word peacefully to that infinite law of mine that has already said yes. Thank you, Father, Mother God, that this is so now, and so it is.
And so it is.
You are welcome, Reverend Michael.
Thank you, Jan. That was beautiful.
You are welcome. And so, friends, we are going to move on to the sharing of some updates, some brief reminders and announcements for this evening's. I will share what I have. Sandy, is she still here? I'm not seeing her. However, let me share what I have. I think I'm only missing one of the announcements, one of the updates. So I will share my screen and we'll get this. We will do the announcements. Put this in slide mode. Just get this into slideshow. Okay. So I'll begin. These are just a few brief reminders. Let me also use this opportunity to once again welcome anyone who is with us, our first-time guest this evening. If you're on YouTube, then welcome very specially. And of course, welcome again, Shauna Kay. I know this is not your first time here. You were with us last week. Thank you for being here again. And so we'd like to remind us that we do have our weekly grief sessions that's continuing. Sorry, let me go back up. That's continuing with grief facilitator Lorraine Jones. And that's on Tuesday at 6 p.m. right here at the Temple of Light. It's an in-person session. So if you are in need of that support, you can join that weekly support group if you're grieving the loss of someone close to you, or if you're maybe grieving the loss of a job or something important in your life. you can share with us in that weekly service with Lorraine. And then please join us for prayer power this Thursday at 6 p.m. And that Zoom link can be found on our Facebook page. And before I move on to our next item, which is the next week, Tuesday, our Spiritual Mind Healing Service, I just want to remind you, I don't have the slide, but the Thanksgiving service for our beloved member, Shirley Pond, is this Friday at the temple at 10:30. And it will also be streaming on our YouTube channel if you're not able to attend in person. So that's this Friday morning for Shirley Pond. She's really Arlene, but everyone knows her as Shirley, at 10:30 at the temple. And then, of course, next Tuesday, please join us for another Spiritual Mind Healing service at 6 p.m. on Zoom and on YouTube. And next week, our speaker will be Reverend Michael Record, because it's the first Tuesday and it's usually one of our ministers. So please join Reverend Michael next Tuesday, right here on Zoom and on YouTube at 6 p.m. for another Spiritual Mind Healing service. And you will hear what his topic is by Sunday. And friends, if you wish to support our ministry financially, you can do so by visiting donate.templeoflightcsl.org. And we thank you for your generosity, as together we support a world that works for everyone. And so now let us just say our love offering blessing together. Lovingly I give, joyfully I receive. Be thou fruitful, increase and multiply. Bless, prosper, and enrich everyone whom you touch, and replenish all of my financial affairs. So be it. Thank you, Father, and so it is. And now we'll do the prayer for center. The Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living is a sacred field embodying our spiritual community from which the Christ, peace, love, and joy emanate. To touch, to heal, to bless, to prosper, and to liberate anyone who comes into contact with it in any way. The light of the Christ illumines us, our center, and our environment. Our spiritual community is filled with and surrounded by the presence of God and is growing from strength to strength. The power of God expands our consciousness of truth, guiding us ceaselessly along the paths of wisdom, spiritual growth, unfoldment, and attainment. We are blessed.
We are blessed.
And to God be the honor and glory forever. And so it is. And then we will say the prayer for Jamaica. And I'd really ask you all to tune in and say this with deep meaning. And if you could continue this practice for now and the remainder of the week, leading up into our election. Together. The radiant light of God's love is now flowing through us and from us to everything and everyone it touches. The eternal light of God's love now completely fills, covers, and surrounds our island, Jamaica. The glowing intensity of the light of God's love now interpenetrates and awakens within the hearts and minds of our countrymen and women. The truths of life which set free. The light of God's love is growing and glowing in intensity in the hearts and minds of mankind everywhere. Love, health, harmony, goodwill,
goodwill,
peace,
peace,
uprightness,
uprightness,
integrity, joy, prosperity,
prosperity, kindness,
kindness, and our
and
oneness
oneness
under
under
God
God
are now
are now
established, and
and
so it is. And so it is indeed. And now, friends, as we go into our closing affirmative prayer, I want to thank you again for being here and for sharing this time with me. So please join me in this affirmative prayer. We give thanks for this shared experience this evening. We give thanks for each other. We give thanks for knowing that love is all there is, and that as we love ourselves, we know that we are loving, lovable, and loved. And so I know for each person, as we go from this evening's gathering, we take this consciousness of love with us out into the week and into every interaction for every person that we meet. I know that we are loving and harmonious, and we simply let love be the way of our heart and the heart of our way as we go through the remainder of this week. I give thanks for the shared spirits now, and I lovingly release this word to that infinite law of mine that has already said yes. Yes to love as our experience this week. Thank you, God, that this is so now, and so it is. Let me stop
and
sharing.
so it is.
Thank you, friends, for being here with me this evening. It certainly was my pleasure to be with you, and I do look forward to sharing with you again. Thanks to
Thank
each
you,
and
Jen.
everyone. You are
This
welcome.
was wonderful.
You
This
are
was so
welcome.
wonderful.